for executives ready to rethink leadership, learn how to transition, thrive, and build freedom through fractional roles. Welcome to Going Fractional. Real strategies, bold insights, no fluff.
With no further ado, thank you so much. I just want to welcome you to the Fractional Podcast here. My name is Scott Sutter. I'm your host, founder of EC Marketing Group and creating a podcast. And I'm excited to chat with Tobias today and learn a little bit more about his business as a fractional CMO. Candidly, this is our first episode, or my first episode rather. So if this is, if we're working out some of the rust and some of the kinks, then please forgive us. But the nature of what we're trying to do here is just open up the door for other fractionals, other fractional CMOs, CEOs, CTOs, CIOs, COOs, to learn potentially how to take that step into the world of being a fractional C-suite representative. And Tobias and I have had lunch and coffee a handful of times, and so I'm excited to have him on the episode today. Tobias, thanks so much, man.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Glad to be here. And on the first thing, I feel like we're just going to nail it. So I'm not really worried at all. It's going to be fine.
Hey, I'm right there with you. I'm maybe confident beyond what a normal person should be, but
It's going to be great.
this is my jam, man. This is my bread and butter. I love just spending time with smart people and trying to learn from them. But I want to start right out of the gate with with value, right? So I always try to start, and I'm kind of stealing this strategy from another podcast that I really like about sales. But if you were going to boil down, I think the three things that have allowed you to kind of take action and be successful as a fractional representative. And I know I didn't prep you for these questions, but if you'd be willing to share maybe what the top three kind of recommendations you might have for somebody considering, fractional work would potentially be, how would you kind of frame that?
Yeah, one is I think you have to be able to tap into what your superpower is and be really clear about what you're offering. So I think as you get more advanced in your career and you get to the C level, you're a seasoned executive, you feel like, well, I can do a lot of different things. And that's not really what people want, I've found when I'm doing it. They're looking for specific kind of expertise. So I'd say that's my main piece of advice. Be really clear on your offering. Make sure you're very differentiated and understand exactly what you want to do. I think the second thing I would offer is just be a super authentic person who's diving in and willing to help. I mean, that's really what they're paying for, is someone who has the knowledge, has made the mistakes, has been through all of the trenches, but somebody who's willing to really help and be a resource. Sometimes it means being a coach, sometimes it means being a leader. It's different for every circumstance, but be there, be willing to help, give of yourself. That's number two. And then I think number three is probably find comfort in the variability. So we talked about this, I know, the other day when we met, but man, things are going to go up and down. You're going to have really amazing months. You're going to have really slow months, but that feeling's never going to go away. So you just have to find a way for yourself to be comfortable in that world and know that's part of the trade. Like, you get a lot of pluses for that gamble you're taking.
Love it, man. Love it. No, that's super helpful, because again, I think I think as you step out into the world of being, fractional, ultimately what happens is maybe you are willing to offer more things than you're super comfortable offering, because it's like, hey, I'm standing, on my own 2 feet right now. So I'll jump in and help out there. Or
Gotta win business. Yeah.
That's right. And you end up with scope creep, or you end up with just, your fees are low, but your investment in time and energy is very, very high. But I think that serves you well. The last, I think it was the last recommendation you gave there, being authentic, because that allows you to build that trust and go a little bit of a layer deeper with your clients, so that when you do need to come back to them and you do need to say, hey, look, we're getting a little bit above our skis, or out over our skis here on this partnership. You've been authentic, and you've been able to build that relationship with them to hopefully serve you in those conversations as well. So I think that's tremendous advice.
Yeah, I think the network that you build up over time, I've been in creative industry over 25 years, the connections that you have, the fact that you've survived that long, that really speaks for itself. As bona fides, you don't have to constantly prove that you're an expert at something. What you need to do is be trustworthy, be authentic, be there when somebody needs the help. and be
Yep.
that resource for them.
Love it, man.
You've been in it that long, they know you can do it. That's not
That's
at
right.
question anymore.
Love it. Love it. That's awesome, man. Well, tell me a little bit about how you got into the world of marketing, and maybe just this is not necessarily designed to be a concise question in terms of what the response is, but if you were going to go, 5 to 10 minutes, kind of a quick overview of your career and your work, and obviously you and I are both here in Cincinnati, so
Yeah.
maybe how you ended up in Cincinnati, if you've always been here, and kind of the spiel, man, if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm a lifer. I had a little time as a kid where we lived down in Florida, but for the most part, I've been a Cincinnati native my whole life. I started in this career from the creative side. You'll see there's two different kinds of groups usually in marketing. There's the ones that are business minded and start with a business degree, and then there are ones that are creative or artistic minded and work their way in that way. So I'm from the creative arm. Started as a designer, also was a professor of graphic design at Northern Kentucky University for 12 years, had tenure the whole bit. Loved that environment, loved the aha moment of when the students get something and they're excited about something. That was really, really cool. Um, I was young when I was doing that still, and I felt the challenge to get into industry and still kind of prove myself and see if I could do it and not just talk about it. So, worked in the agency world for 8 or 9 years, worked at a couple of good Cincinnati agencies as executive creative director, leading groups around new business, around brand building. But, all the time I was doing that, I noticed I got really excited about the strategy conversations, those C-level conversations I was having. And, I decided maybe it's time to go back to school. And I went and got my MBA so that I would have the credentials in those conversations that I wanted to have around business and finance and understand financial reports, be able to speak that language well. And that helped a lot as I started to increase my frequency in those C-suite conversations around strategy. So once I graduated, I was fortunate enough to have a couple of fellow alumni, some past colleagues reach out and say, "Hey, would you be interested in consulting for us trying this?" And it became enough where I was like, "Hey, maybe there's something to this. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to try it." Fortunately, my kids were older at this point, so they were going to be on. If I failed, they're on their own, man. They'll figure it out.
Sure.
They're in their 20s, but so I have a very supportive wife. I'm very fortunate that way, and she encouraged me to go for it. So I did, and about 2 years now I've been doing it, and it's been interesting. It's exactly what we talked about earlier. There's variability there. You're betting on yourself, but it's kind of cool when you don't have that safety net and you have to really work
That's
for it.
right. That's right, man. That's right. Yeah. So, couple of pieces to respond to there. The first one is, my kids are not in college, right? Like we've talked about this. Mine are 9, 7, 5, 2, and 0.
Yeah,
So my
yeah,
wife and I, we got a full house, and it's interesting that the second thing that I wanted to respond to there, as that's kind of in tandem, is the day that I basically became full-time self-employed. I came home, and my kids had they had drawn me all these like posters and all these pictures. I don't know if I told you this the other day at lunch, but they
yeah.
drawn me, and them and my wife had taped them all up over my office door and on the inside of my office and everything. And it
That's
was
cool.
like, yeah, it was like, the name of the company, and
Oh, that's cool.
like they had just got through all the Star Wars for the first time. So my son wrote this thing that was like, it's actually hanging on my door right now. It says, "You're a Jedi, even at making money."
That's
And
cool. Heck yeah.
and it just was one of those moments, man, where it's like, at the end of the day, we spend our time and we work in our careers and we do all that stuff. But the thing that you had just kind of nailed was having a supportive family and having a supportive
Yeah,
wife who just makes you feel like you can conquer the world. And that's
yeah,
one of the great things I think um, about your circumstance, my circumstance, and hopefully other people that are considering, kind of this fractional work is having that support system that reminds you that like you're doing this because you're really good at it and because you have to have a form of making money if you're not at retirement age yet. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, like the purpose of it and the point behind it is We live our lives, I think, to make sure that we as husbands and fathers and leaders are taking care of the people that need us to take care of them. And when they're cheering us on, man, you just
Cool.
the
Yeah.
wind at your back.
Yeah. Yeah. You feel invincible. Yeah. Yeah. I'm
That's
very
right.
fortunate that way. Yeah. And I'm sure
Love it,
she's
man.
going to be blushing when she hears this, but yeah, I'm very lucky.
That's amazing, dude. That's fantastic. Well, cool. I know one kind of unique thing about you. Sorry, I know several, but one of the unique things about you is, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, you're a Notre Dame fan.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was where I got my MBA. Yeah. Big time
Gotcha.
fan.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that was what I was going to ask you is you grew up in Cincinnati. I grew up in Cincinnati too, but my dad was from sort of like northeastern Indiana, and they really only had like WGN as the only channel growing
Yeah.
up. So he was always a
Yeah.
Chicago Bears and Cubs fan, and then a Notre Dame fan. So I just was curious if you give us kind of a quick backstory to the Notre Dame,
Yeah. It was
sort of
two
scenario.
things. Two things. Yeah. So one, my grandma, she's deceased now, but she was a huge Notre Dame fan. Like she had the keychain, the blanket, the sweatshirt. And we would go over to her house on Saturdays every once in a while. She'd watch
Yeah.
Lou Holtz and the guys play football. And we would sit on the couch with the leprechaun Afghan on it and the whole, and she was just into it. And that
I
made an
bet.
impression on me as a kid. It's like, this is something she really cares about. It's something she holds kind of precious. And I thought that's neat. I like that place too. I don't know much about it, but I like it. And
Yeah.
then um, I don't know how many years ago it was, maybe 10 years ago or something. I went to the campus for the first time. And every once in a while, these kind of things happen in your life where you're walking around somewhere and you realize you're in one of those moments where you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is a little different place. This is kind of a special place. There were
Yeah.
some it was a beautiful sunny day. The grounds are immaculate on campus. There was
Yeah.
group of choral students walking around singing a song. I'm looking around the buildings. I'm like, hey, this is kind of a cool place. And really it was like, because I'm a brand guy, I'd always kind of liked their brand. They're really good with their merchandising, their logo. But then
Yeah.
I saw the experience of the brand and the care with which they establish themselves as an entity. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is at a different level. This is something really kind of cool. So right away, when I was in that moment, I was like, hey, I want to be part of whatever this is. I want to learn more about this. And that really, it took a number of years before I applied and did it, but that made a big difference.
That's so cool, man. And again, back to the conversation that we're talking about, right? Like, um, I can't remember if it was you or somebody else, and I'm going to ask you the question and see if you can maybe unpack it a little bit for the people that are listening or watching. But the emotion and what can be invoked by brand and by nailing that, and
Yeah.
obviously when you talk, colleges are businesses, right? They're
Right.
they're trying to get people to come and be a part of that, and obviously so much money is kind of wrapped up in higher education. But when you have so much history and you nail the brand and you
Yeah.
have a beautiful campus and I visited Purdue University on like the rainiest day of all time, and it was like, I'm not going here because
Yeah. Yeah.
it was like a terrible day. So the fact that it was a gorgeous day,
Yeah.
that all of these different pieces lead to this business being really successful over the course of time.
Yeah.
Recruiting great students, recruiting great athletes, and also just again like the amount of history and how it's tied up in kind of the Catholic ultimately
Yeah.
universe as well. Talk about how some of that impacts branding and how that impacts how people engage with a business. Being on more of the sales side and business side of marketing, as you mentioned before, I see, the marketing services and what you do. I almost have this concept of quantity and visibility and getting, volume out there, but that can sometimes override or oversee, like
Yeah.
move a
Yeah.
little bit beyond the actual quality piece. And so if you have maybe a couple of minutes to talk about
Yeah.
the importance of branding and quality there.
Yeah, that's really what motivates me when I get lost in the work and I look up and all of a sudden 5 hours have gone by. It's because I'm thinking strategically about what a brand can do. That
Yeah.
experience that I felt that day, that's what a lot of people miss about brand and they don't understand about brand. They're like, well, we have good colors, we have the right photography, we're using cool typefaces, we've even written a communication strategy. We're saying all the things that we're supposed to be saying to engage with our audience. But the thing about brand that people forget is brand is an experience. So when I think about a brand, I think about another level, and that's time. So somebody, as their experience, when are they first introduced to it, what happens? When they start to have conversations about it, what happens? When they experience it over and over again, what happens? And that element of time and how that unfolds in telling the story of brand, that's where you can get into some magical kind of results, I think. So, you
Yep.
know, the brands that understand that the experience and the culture that they're building and the alignment of the people on the inside of the organization, the people on the outside of organization, that's who's really killing it in that strategic brand world is the people that are building that culture and experience.
Yeah, yeah. And there's so many different, I'd say, like threads to that, right? Like you touched on a bunch of them. I think it boils down to like I remember I'm trying to remember what book it was, but I remember reading something about like Nike and like the kind of the emerging of these like really, I think, modern brands.
Mhm.
And it's how they position themselves. It's the athletes they associate themselves with. It's the logo. It's the name of the brand. It's
Mhm.
the punchline. It's the colors. It's the archetype behind the brand. How do you relate to this actual this actual brand? And sometimes you just see cool things where like it all comes together and it just clicks at a moment and things take off. And I think one of the more recent examples of this, and I'm sure there's 100 more recent examples than the one I'm about to give, but the Stanley Cups, right? Like the Stanley Cup thing just blew up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it was just like prime for something to take off. And the reason I bring that up mostly, and I've probably told too many, not it, I've used this as a punchline at too many parties. But like they are so, sorry, don't be upset with me, Stanley. I'm sure, we probably won't have millions of viewers on this clip or what I'm about to say,
Come
but
on, we're working
they
on
are so that's right. We're gonna the original ones, like the ones that really became popular are they're horrible. They're just
it.
horrible.
Yeah.
They gout water when they fall over. They're 200 pounds when they're full of water. They're
Mhm.
massive. Like my wife tries to bring it into the car and it like won't fit in the cup holder,
Yeah.
right? So then it tips over and spills in my lap.
Yeah.
Literally, the first time we rode in the car with the Stanley Cup, it was like bumping the buttons on our radio. Like, I mean, it just was like,
Yeah.
come on, man. You could actually like give somebody a concussion if you bumped into them with a Stanley Cup, and it bumped their head with it or whatever. But again, like I think it was just it caught on at the right time with the right crowd. It had the right look and the right logo and
Yeah.
the right branding, and it just sort of popped, right? And so I
Right.
think that stuff cannot be overlooked by a brand. Like a brand has to
Yeah.
consider that stuff, and it kind of paints the full picture for what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I think that's when I look at examples like that and I go, well, that's crazy. Like, why did that take off? But then I really think about like, why did it take off? And it's because people can see that as something that they are willing to have as a part of their person to represent themselves.
Yep,
So they're able to hold that thing and feel cool, feel comfortable, feel like they're part of the it crowd because they're holding that thing. It's
that's
the
right.
same thing, and I heard this story anecdotally. I don't know how much truth there is behind it, but it's the same thing that kind of happened with the development of Monster Water. Is that or not Monster Water? Thinking of Monster Energy, I'm mixing the stories up. But the Liquid Death brand,
Yeah,
but there were
yeah,
guys at a rock concert that would have Monster Energy cans. You can only drink so much Monster Energy drink,
yeah,
and they were moshing in the pit and whatever. And the founder of Liquid Death looks over and sees these guys that they refilled these cans with water. And you're like, that's kind of weird. Is that a hint that's telling me something? It's like they're not going to hold a Dasani bottle when they're in the mosh pit. That is not who they are. They'll
that's
hold a
right.
Monster Energy can. So wait a minute. Maybe there's an opening here about how liquid
Yes,
could be representative of a brand and an experience and resonate with people that they're willing to hold this and make this a part of their appearance. So,
yeah.
I mean, that Stanley figured it out, man.
That's right. And you again you bring up a really really interesting point, which is like um it does become part of like the stuff that you wear and the stuff that you engage with and the thing. like it becomes a part of your personality, right? Like I've
Yeah.
driven a BMW now for about 5 years or so, and people have a lot of opinions on the type of people that drive BMWs and
Yeah.
Mercedes and
Yeah.
all kinds of different things. When I look for clothing, I typically have a few brands that I can consider wearing because I like, you know, I like the way they look on me. I like the way that I feel in them. I like the things that they, like project that I plan to go do or who I am as a
Yeah.
person. But another kind of interesting element to this is like I like to golf also. And um, I am a little pretentious about the golf balls that I use,
Yeah.
even though at the end of the
Yeah.
day, they're all the same white ball with the center and whatever.
Yeah.
So,
All that stuff that you touch that's personal, it becomes representative of you. It's funny once you're on the other side of it and you're behind the scenes pulling the strings, you sometimes, this happened to me, I don't know if it happens to everybody, you get to a point where you want nothing to do with branded things representing you. So if you
interesting.
like, if I mean, we've seen each other a couple of times, you'll see me, I'll never have a shirt with a logo on it. I'll never
Yeah.
have a logo on my glasses, like they're just plain all the way around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know. Like I know what goes into this world
Yeah.
and how that becomes who you are. And yeah, it's funny. It's like the artist in their house doesn't have any of their own work.
Yeah. Right.
None of their own
Right.
work is hanging on the walls.
Yeah, right. It's interesting. Inspiration maybe, right? But yeah, I hadn't really thought about it that way. Maybe you can put a little plug in for like, hey, where can I get a nice crew neck sweater that doesn't have a logo on it?
Yeah,
That's not $60. It's, $20
yeah.
or something like that.
This is Gap Outlet, baby. The
Nice.
best.
Love it, dude. Love it. That's
Glasses,
fantastic, man.
Denny. These are like $12 glasses.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Well, cool. Hey, I'm going to give you some time here. Give me a plug for your business, man. Tell me about, tell me about what you do. Tell me about your company. And then at the end of all of that information, tell the users or the listeners or the watchers how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the company is called SolvStat. It's all one word, SolvStat. It means to solve problems quickly. So think of like the stat in medical terms. But I have two kinds of lines of business that I do. My first one is I am a fractional CMO. Traditionally, I help companies that are founder led or CEO led, and they just want someone by their side in the trenches, figuring out if the marketing that they are doing is working, or if they need to increase the marketing they're doing, whatever the circumstance. So maybe you have a competitor who's just eating your lunch. Maybe you've had a small marketing team that you've been using for a while, and you're not sure if the money that you're spending makes sense. Because of my background now in finance, I can tie the goals around marketing specifically to things like profit and revenue, as opposed to just impressions and clicks, which is a little
Yep.
bit of a differentiator. So that's one of the
Yeah.
ways I'm great. I speak agency. I can get you the kind of assets that you need really fast, whether it's design, web, whatever. I know all those people. But just having somebody there with you, help author a plan, set a strategy, set a budget, and then for a year or 2 years or 3 years, whatever it is, we can work together and see how things go. The other side of the business, because of my time being a creative director, because of all the students that I taught over those 12 years I was at NKU, I just have a really good Rolodex of folks that are just super, super talented. And I'll take on agency projects as well. So whether it's brand or strategy, website, logo, whatever you need from the agency kind of perspective, I can help with that as well.
Rock on, man. That's fantastic. Um, what is the best way for the listeners to actually like interact with you, get in touch with you? I'll be linking a lot of this stuff so that people
Yeah.
can ultimately watch it and whatever. But what do you prefer, man? Like what's the best way for people to get in touch?
I use LinkedIn like crazy. If you find me on there, I will probably respond relatively quickly. It's almost always open. So I think
Cool.
if you put Tobias Brauer in LinkedIn, I'm probably going to be the first one that comes up. It's kind of a weird name, but you can find me on the website as well. There's a link to my calendar on there. If you just want to, grab time on my calendar, we can start talking just like this. No big deal.
Love it. Love it. Well, cool, brother. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you jumping on and being kind of the guinea pig here, the
Yeah,
first
thank
episode
you.
with us. What we plan to do again is to continue to meet with fractional C-suite representatives and make sure that they sort of are able to add some value to anybody considering going out on their own and doing kind of the fractional thing. So if you are a fractional representative or you're interested in kind of pursuing that sort of that sort of opportunity, then we hope that you'll stick around in the channel. We hope that you'll subscribe to the channel and follow us for hopefully for more great valuable information. So thanks so much for joining us on the Fractional Podcast, and we will catch you next time.